Alright, let's break this down. What even is guerrilla art? Imagine you're walking to get a coffee, minding your own business, and bam! Right there on a boring brick wall is this incredible piece of art. It wasn't there yesterday. There was no announcement. No fancy gallery opening with tiny cheese cubes. That, my friends, is guerrilla art. It's art that shows up uninvited, like that one cousin at every family gathering. It's public, it's surprising, and it's completely unauthorized. The artists use the city itself, walls, sidewalks, statues, you name it, as their canvas. They're turning our everyday commute into a pop-up exhibition, and the best part? Admission is free. This isn't just about making things look pretty, though. Think of it as a visual mic drop. It's a way for artists to speak directly to us, the people, without a filter. No museums, no curators, no corporate sponsors saying, can you make that a little less political? These artists are hacking our public spaces to start a conversation. They're taking the most visible, shared parts of our world and using them to broadcast a message. It's a direct line from the artist's mind to the public consciousness. They are reclaiming the visual landscape from the endless sea of advertisements trying to sell you stuff you don't need. The term guerrilla itself gives you a clue. It comes from guerrilla warfare, which involves small, independent groups fighting a larger force with surprise tactics. And that's exactly the vibe here. These aren't massive state-funded projects. They are quick, stealthy operations, often done in the dead of night. The artist has to be fast, smart, and a little bit sneaky. They plan their mission, execute it, and then vanish into the city, leaving behind only their work. It's a high-stakes game of creative rebellion, where the goal is to make you stop, look, and most importantly, think about what you're seeing. So, at its core, guerrilla art is the ultimate democratic art form. It bypasses the elite, exclusive world of high art and brings powerful ideas straight to the streets for everyone to see. It doesn't care if you have an art history degree or if you can't tell a Monet from a Manet. It's for the delivery driver, the student, the tourist, the office worker, everyone. It's a bold, unapologetic statement that art belongs to all of us and that our public spaces should reflect our ideas, our struggles, and our hopes, not just endless billboards for the latest smartphone. Now, you might think this is a new thing, a product of the Instagram age. But nope, humans have been scribbling on walls for a very, very long time. I'm talking ancient stuff. Look at the ruins of Pompeii. Archaeologists found graffiti there, political slogans, love poems, and some seriously spicy insults all carved into the walls thousands of years ago. So, the urge to leave your mark in a public space is basically baked into our DNA. But the modern guerrilla art movement, the one we recognize today, really kicked off in a much more recent and much more turbulent time. It found its voice in protest. Let's rewind to the 1960s. The world was buzzing with change. You had the civil rights movement, anti-war protests, and a massive youth culture that was questioning everything. In Paris, during the student protests of May 1968, the city walls exploded with stenciled slogans and posters. Phrases like, "Be realistic," "Demand the impossible," weren't just written. They were artfully designed to be spread quickly and to inspire the people. This was a major turning point. Art wasn't just in the gallery anymore. It was on the front lines of a revolution, used as a weapon of mass communication. Then, you jump across the pond to New York City in the 1970s and 80s. The city was gritty, broke, and the perfect canvas for a new art form, graffiti. Artists like Jean-Michel Basquiat, working as Samo, and Keith Haring started out by tagging subway cars and city walls. They saw the whole transit system as a moving gallery that could carry their art to every corner of the city. They weren't just writing their names. They were developing unique visual languages, commenting on social issues like capitalism, racism, and the AIDS crisis. They laid the groundwork for street art as a legitimate, powerful form of expression. This history is crucial because it shows that guerrilla art has always been tied to the desire for change. It comes from a place of urgency. It's born when people feel like the official channels are failing them, when their voices aren't being heard. So, they take to the streets. They use spray paint, stencils, and wheat paste to shout what they can't say in a newspaper or on TV. It's a tradition of speaking truth to power, using the city itself as a megaphone to amplify messages that might otherwise be silenced, ignored, or completely erased from the conversation. Okay, You can't talk about guerrilla art without talking about the ghost, the myth, the legend, Banksy. This anonymous British artist has become a global phenomenon. His work is sharp, funny, and deeply political. One of his most famous pieces showed up on the Israeli West Bank barrier, a massive concrete wall. Banksy painted a series of images on it, including one of a little girl being lifted over the wall by a handful of balloons. It's a simple, powerful image that cuts right through all the political noise. It asks a basic question: is this wall really stopping anything, or is it just a symbol of division? But it's not just about stencils on a wall. Let's talk about Pussy Riot. This Russian feminist punk collective takes guerrilla art to a whole new level. They don't just use walls, they use performance. In 2012, they staged a punk prayer inside Moscow's main cathedral, protesting the government and its ties to the Orthodox Church. They were masked in their signature colorful balaclavas, and the performance was a chaotic, loud, and powerful act of defiance. The video went viral. They were arrested, of course, but their actions sparked a global conversation about freedom of speech and political oppression in Russia. They turned a performance into a massive political statement. Another powerful example comes from an artist named JR. His Inside Out project is a global guerrilla art initiative. He takes giant black and white portraits of everyday people and pastes them onto buildings, bridges, and even trains all over the world. One of his most famous installations was on the US-Mexico border wall. He pasted a massive photo of a toddler peering over the wall from the Mexican side, making it look like a giant child was curiously looking into his neighbor's yard. It completely changed the narrative of the wall from one of fear and division to one of innocence and human connection. These examples show you the real power of guerrilla art. It's not just vandalism, it's a strategic move. Banksy uses humor and simple visuals to critique war and consumerism. Pussy Riot uses shock and performance to challenge authoritarianism. JR uses human faces to bridge divides and foster empathy. Each of them finds a unique way to hijack public space and force us to confront uncomfortable truths. They prove that a can of spray paint, a colorful mask, or a giant photograph can be more powerful than a political speech because it connects with us on an emotional, human level. So, why all the secrecy? Why do artists like Banksy stay anonymous? Why do others work at night? Well, first off, there's the obvious reason. What they're doing is often illegal. It's considered vandalism or property damage by the authorities. So, secrecy is a practical necessity. It keeps them from getting arrested and allows them to continue making their art. This element of risk, this cat-and-mouse game with the law, adds a layer of rebellion to the work itself. It reinforces the idea that this is an outsider art form, one that exists in opposition to the system. But there's a deeper reason for the anonymity. When you don't know who the artist is, the focus shifts entirely to the message of the artwork. It's not about the artist's celebrity, their personal brand, or their Instagram follow account. It's about the piece itself and what it's trying to say. Banksy's anonymity is his superpower. It makes his art feel like it came from the people, not from one famous person. It becomes a collective statement, a voice for the voiceless. The mystery makes the message even more powerful because it could be from anyone, and therefore, it's for everyone. This secret style also changes how we, the audience, interact with the art. When you stumble upon a piece of guerrilla art, it feels like a discovery. It's a personal, unexpected moment in your day. It wasn't curated for you by a museum. You found it. This creates a more direct and intimate connection with the art. It makes you feel like you're in on a secret. This element of surprise is a powerful tool. It breaks through our daily routines and the constant noise of advertising, forcing us to pay attention in a way that a piece in a gallery might not. Ultimately, guerrilla art is still incredibly important today because our public spaces are more commercialized than ever. Every wall, bus, and screen is trying to sell us something. Guerrilla art is a powerful antidote to that. It reclaims those spaces for public discourse, for creativity, and for protest. It reminds us that the streets belong to the people and that art can be a powerful force for social change. In a world that often feels divided and loud, a simple, clever image on a wall can still cut through everything and make us all think. And that, right there, is a revolution.